What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Banca Podcast in English. I'm your host, Mark, aka Marquinho, aka El Che Segovia, alongside the birthday boy, Aurelio. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, just here chilling.
It's celebrating the 21st birthday, huh?
Yes, again.
Nah, man, that's what's up. That's what's up, man. Everything good with you over there? I know you missed last week, man. Everything all right with you?
Yeah, we're good. We're moving, so took time to unpack everything and get everything on this side of the house now.
Nah, that's cool, man. Big moves for Aurelio over there. But obviously, we're talking about big moves. There's a lot of big moves in the world of soccer. A busy week this past weekend. But obviously, we're gonna start off with trophies because when a trophy is given out, that's the biggest deal out here in the world of soccer, man. Winning championships and winning competitions. So, and one of the clubs that won this past weekend was Atletico Bilbao. Giant killers, man. They had to go through the two biggest clubs in Spain to win the Supercup of España.
Sure.
Atletico Bilbao went through Real Madrid on Thursday, beating them 2-1. And then this past Sunday, it needed a little bit of extra time, but they beat Barcelona 3-2 to claim the Supercopa de España, which now is a 14 tournament instead of the old format, which used to pit the La Liga winner versus La Copa del Rey winner. Thoughts about it, man? What are your thoughts about a club like Atletico Bilbao winning a cup like this?
Man, it's always good when you have a smaller club beating a bigger club. That just shows that there's teams out there that have the will and have the power. They might not have the names backing that team up, but when you have that fire in you and that will, I'm like, it just shows that it can be done. Even though I understand it wasn't a strong Barcelona team, but if you go name by name, it's a bigger team than Atletico Bilbao.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, in the world of soccer, obviously, we all know the big names. We all know the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids, the Manchester Uniteds, the Bayern Munichs, and things like that. But it's always fun to see these smaller clubs, or quote unquote smaller clubs, because obviously, I'm pretty sure the people of Real don't think their clubs that small. But it's great to see those type of clubs come out with such passion and determination to win, this competition. Obviously, going through the two biggest clubs in Spanish football, beating Real Madrid Thursday, like we said earlier, and then beating Barcelona this past Sunday to lift the cup. It's an exciting time for them, obviously, because they're in a bit of a transition period. They just switched coaches. They hired Marcelino, which used to be the old Valencia coach. Yeah. And I'm excited for him too, man. I mean, obviously, he kind of got the short end of the stick right there with the Valencia, but with everything that's going on with Valencia, with them, offloading players and things of that nature, and the financial things going on in Valencia Football Club. But it's great to see that him get up and find another job, and obviously with Atletico Bilbao, obviously the fact that they got somebody new kind of steering the ship now, giving them a little bit more of I guess passion. Obviously you see the passion that he brought on the sideline, being passionate with the goal scored and when the goal
scored.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a pretty good tournament, man. I mean, obviously the first game with Real Sociedad and Barcelona was a tight game as well. Could have gone either way. They end up in penalties going, in Barcelona's favor. And then obviously, like we mentioned before, the Madrid and Atletico Bilbao game was a pretty good game as well. Raul Garcia obviously was the man of the match for that game. And your thoughts on the Inaki Williams goal, man? That was a screamer.
It was. I was surprised. I didn't see the whole game, but I saw the highlights, and it was wow.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, man. You gotta tip your cap to a goal like that, regardless of the fact. I obviously, for those who know, I'm a Barcelona supporter, and obviously Ter Stegen is in my opinion, one of the top 1 or 2 goalkeepers in the world. But nobody's stopping that, man. That was a screamer, and that was a fantastic goal for Inaki Williams, who last week I mentioned as one of the players to look out for in this tournament. So congrats to those guys. Congrats to Inaki Williams, and congrats to Atletico Bilbao, man. Hopefully this is the beginning for them to steer the ship the right way, and maybe end up in the and a European spot for next season. Who
Yeah,
knows?
man. Congrats to all their fans. I'm pretty sure they're all excited that it was a good weekend or a good week for them.
For sure, for sure.
So
But obviously that match wasn't just about who won the cup, but I mean, obviously we saw something that we rarely see, actually we kind of never seen,
yeah,
which was Messi getting his first red card as a Barcelona in a Barcelona jersey. Messi has played 700 plus games for Barcelona in a span of 15, almost 16 years. And for this to be his first red card ever for in a competitive match, man, that's speaking a lot
it
to
is.
the,
Like it's like earlier show. My it probably take less than 10 games and I'll get one.
yeah, I mean, especially you gotta think about it for in his standpoint, everybody's um plan is to go against him, obviously, right?
He
They
get kicked.
they tackle him, they push him around, they hit him, they do whatever
He
they
gets
can to kind
he
of
gets kicked a lot too. So I'm like, yeah. I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, it's frustration.
yeah.
Stuff's not going your way. The season hasn't been going your way. So it all kind of bunches up, and I guess that's how he let it out, and it's unfortunate. But I'm like, it's happened to the best players in the world, so why shouldn't it happen to him either?
Yeah, obviously. I wish I had that kind of patience, that I mean, to be in my 700th whatever game, at my club and to get my first red card ever. That's patience. That's high level stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, obviously it was obviously anything associated with Messi is going to take, the headlines. Unfortunately, obviously, we want to focus more on the fact that, Atletico Bilbao came out there and accomplished a big feat by winning this trophy. But obviously, with the whole thing with Messi getting the red card and the way, he
Yeah,
got that red card, it was a pretty bad foul. I mean, like I said, I don't know what the reasoning was for him doing that. It's a lot of frustration, a lot of things going on, boiling up, and I like you said, he's human. He's showing signs of being a human, and unfortunately for him, it was caught like that, and it looked pretty bad. So he's getting a 2-game ban. Do you think that's sufficient enough punishment for it being his first red card ever in 15, 16 years?
honestly, even though it's his first, I think it's a little light. I think it should have been at least 3 or 4,
Mm-hmm.
like it normally is.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, like they're gonna make the rules. The referee's gonna write it down, see how he saw it, and that's how it's gonna go up. And the way he scripted, that's why he probably only got 2 games.
Yeah, because I mean, if you see the replay of the incident, obviously the ref was not looking at it. He had to go to VAR, and the assistant ref is the one who told him, "Hey, you got to look at this because it's a potential for a red card." And obviously, then after he watched the video, he gave him the red card. But yeah, man, I mean, honestly, yeah, anytime you go after a player's head area, it's cause for a nice lengthy suspension. And obviously I think the fact that, this is kind of his first time, kind of help, maybe kind of minimize that length match.
He's not that type of player where
Yeah,
he's getting in fights or anything like that. I'm like, I can see that. I can see it like that
yeah.
too.
Yeah, he
So
I think he kind of got the benefit of the doubt because he's been
and
a
the name
really good
does
player.
the name helps a lot too.
Obviously. But yeah, man, I mean, obviously, congrats to Atletico Bilbao again. Like I said, hopefully
Yeah,
this
definitely.
helps steer them in the right direction for the second half of the season because I think they're currently in 12th place in La Liga table right now. But we'll see how it goes, man.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm like it turns their tables and get up a couple more spots up and get that confidence going.
What do you think this says before we move on to the next subject? What do you think this says for Barcelona and for Real Madrid for them to kind of crash out in this kind of mini tournament for them?
It's devastating. It's uh something we're probably pretty much not accustomed to. We're always seeing them in either one or the other, if not both, in the final of whatever tournament usually it is in Spain. But yeah, it's unfortunately it just shows that their time has. I'm not gonna say the time has come because they're still pretty. There's a lot of quality in both those teams, but
Hmm.
it shows that everybody else is moving on up and they're not. Other teams are pretty much saying that they're not scared. They might not have the manpower or the money to back them up, but they have the will and the power.
Yeah, they're finding different other ways to kind of close the gap. Obviously, finances are never going to be aligned because Madrid has a lot of money. Barcelona, even though this year they're kind of on a financially kind of on a bind, but still it's still Barcelona. Those guys are always going to have the benefit of the doubt because of name and money and all that good stuff. But yeah, I think other clubs around the league are being much more. They're doing a lot more with a lot less. Obviously, I don't know if they're investing more in their scouting or the youth, whatever their academies to make sure that they get players on that stuff. But yeah, man, I think the gap is closing. I think teams are not as fearful of either club. Regardless of the fact, a name is a name, but it all depends on what you have on the pitch. And if you don't have any kind of quality on the pitch, then anybody can beat anybody any given day. So, but
And I'm pretty sure these teams are getting scouted as well, and they're seeing how people are penetrating these teams, like Barcelona, Real Madrid, and they're studying it, and they're playing at their for playing against their weakness. So that's another thing that can catch an eye as well.
Fidel asked on the chat, do you think Messi's teammates hold him accountable for the loss because of the red card?
They shouldn't. I honestly don't. I don't think it's his fault. Like I said in earlier show, it's not Messi FC. It's Barcelona FC.
Yeah.
They have their part. If they weren't able to capitalize or stop a goal here or make a goal here or there, I'm like, it's yes, he is the figure of the team, but I don't. It's not just him. It's 11
No,
players. It's 11 players out there, so that no, they shouldn't. And if they do,
shame on them.
shame
Yeah,
on them.
I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, I have to agree with you. Obviously, I know it happened on the 120th minute, and like Fidel says, Fidel also mentions that with Messi on the field, anything can happen, which I agree with that
yeah, it
statement as
can.
well. You
It
know,
can.
but but obviously, like I said, that third goal was scored early on in the first half of the extra time, so they had to complete 30 minutes extra to try to tie the game or even try to win the game. But obviously they just they shouldn't it shouldn't have got to that point in my opinion. They were winning 2-1 and then they just kind of let their guard down. And they scored that. I think it's Villa Libre who scored that goal at the end
Yeah,
of
regulation.
regular time. Yeah. So, but yeah, man. I mean, like again, I'm not trying to dismiss Atletico Bilbao's triumph. They
I
did a
mean,
really good job. They defeated the two
they
biggest
didn't
clubs.
give up. They didn't give up. They went one down,
Hmm.
2-0, 2-1. They still kept fighting to the last minute, and look where it got them.
For sure, for sure. So, man, obviously we know we're in January, so that means transfer window time. And we did a show a couple of weeks ago, just kind of focusing on a couple clubs, in the transfer window, what's going on. And obviously, we just want to give you a little bit of an update of what's going on. There's been a couple of news, certain players moving on to different clubs and already kind of putting pen to paper. One of those being, we mentioned Real Madrid and them having their issues with Sergio Ramos, whether or not they're going to re-sign him, if he's going to come back or whatever. But regardless of what happens with that, it looks like they found a replacement already, man. And David Alaba from
Yeah,
Bayern Munich. What's your thoughts on him and as a defender, as a player, man? I think that's a pretty big get for Real Madrid.
it is. It's a player that's pretty much in his prime. What is he? 28 year, 29,
I think he's
27, something like
27. Yeah.
that. So yeah, so he's pretty much in his prime. A Champions League champion.
They won everything last season.
Yeah, they've won everything. I'm like, he's been multiple times champions in the Bundesliga. So if they're getting an experienced player, um, it's gonna be a big help, especially for Ramos. I know it's pretty much gonna be his. This is I'm not gonna say a substitute, but the guy's gonna replace him. But it's I don't for Real Madrid. I don't think that's their only problem. It's a fix, but
Yeah.
it'll help. But I think they have more issues than just that.
What do you think now with Alaba now obviously pleading his? I mean, I'm obviously giving his signature to Real Madrid to come into the summer. What do you think the chances or the odds are that Ramos stays now with Real Madrid?
And it's gonna be
Do you think it's
it's
less than 50%?
man, it's gonna be of what they're able to give and what it's gonna be a give and take. How much can they give Ramos and how much Ramos can take from them. Last time I heard that he was still wanting a pretty decent amount
Mhm.
to sign. So if it's gonna be like that, might as well just let him go somewhere else.
Yeah, see, in my opinion, with the Alaba signing now being confirmed and gone through for the summer, I think I'm gonna give it less than 20%, man. To be honest, if depending on the numbers, I mean, I'm seeing different numbers as far as the contract goes for Alaba. But if it is the highest amount I've seen is 12 mil a year, which after taxes, which is less than what Ramos is asking for, right? Which is less than what Ramos is currently earning. So you're getting a younger player, a better player at this stage of his career than what Ramos is. We obviously know what Ramos means to Real Madrid. He's a legend. He's a true captain. All that stuff, whatever. But if he wants to keep fighting this and keep asking for that 2 year extension, knowing that Madrid holds all the leverage here, they already found his replacement. I don't see how Ramos ends up staying unless he just tucks his tail between his legs and just accepts what it is, accept that hey, look, this is my swan song, this is my last year, and I'm either moving on or I'm staying loyal to the club that gave me everything.
Like I said, it's gonna be a give and take. It's gonna be something that if he wants to stay, he's gonna have to come to an agreement on a pay, and then if they want him, it's also gonna be come up to how much are we gonna pay you.
For
So
sure.
it's never gonna be easy, especially with the quality of player that we all know Ramos is. He is that age, but he is also that person that I don't think Alba or not many players out there right now can substitute him as a not as much as a player, but as the voice of the team,
Yeah.
as that captain that that fire that he brings out in players.
Obviously. And another name that you and me know all too well that's moving on. Mert Ozil, our number 10 at Arsenal, is going to Fenerbahce, the
Yes.
Real Madrid of Turkey, basically. So what are your thoughts on that, man? We're losing a good one, man. Honestly, when Ozil was doing really well under Wenger, he was top notch, he was top class, he always came to play. Obviously, he had the little bit of fallout at the end, with the directors and the club and the heads of the club, and obviously Arteta wasn't picking him for selection and things of that nature. What are your thoughts about Osil finally moving on?
We're losing, but are we really losing? I'm like, it's not like he was playing.
No, but the thing is, like, a player like Osil. I mean, to be honest, I mean, think about what he could have done to help, during that the skid that we were losing games in. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't deny his talent. He's a talented
No,
player.
yeah, definitely cannot deny his talent, but we also know that he doesn't run back.
Yeah, but I mean, but
We're,
that's the thing.
we're really light on our defense. We have a lot of players on defense that aren't worth crap, to be
Yeah.
honest. You might have one or two there. Our midfield is not up to par. And then having a player that's not going to come back and help, it's
No,
I have
no. Trust me. Look, trust me. Look.
I think that's why the reason he was not being picked is just because he's never been a player that's going to run back and help.
Yeah.
He's always going to be a player that's going to stay up top.
No,
From the midfield
and
up.
trust me, I understand that logic. And I'm completely for it. I mean, obviously, if Arteta wants to implement where a club where, hey, everybody comes back in defense, then everybody has to go back and defend, especially if
Yeah,
you're one of the biggest.
I'm pretty sure if we had the midfield and the defense that Arteta wants that can support his style, he would have been playing.
Yeah, of course. But the thing is, like, but then you think about it, damn, there's a couple of games, in there during that skid where we're like, man, if we only had somebody who could have created something, it could have, I mean, because obviously, we know he's not a defender, so you look at things like that where it was like, man, was this really that big of a deal where you couldn't even have him on the bench, to just for like maybe a spark for the last 10, 15 minutes? One of those type of deals. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
I'm
definitely. I'm 100% on that. But at the same time, those last 10 or 15 minutes killed you too.
That's true, but I mean, but if you were already losing, or if you were already, whatever. I mean, like
I
I said,
mean,
I mean, yeah, we can go back and forth about it, but all I'm saying is, like, The Mercer Ozil era in Arsenal didn't end up the way we thought it would. You know, it ended in a crappy way. You know, for if I do say so myself. Unfortunately for him, because from everything else that I see, obviously on his social media, his foundation, his
Yeah,
charitable work,
definitely.
he
Of
seems
course.
like a stand up guy.
Oh
Um,
yeah, we're not gonna mark him as a bad person or evil person.
yeah,
We're
he
just
wasn't a
we're just
cancer or something like
we're,
that.
we're just talking him as a player. It's
Yeah,
gonna be always you're always gonna have two different sides. But no,
true.
as a person, we all know he's a top not top class player and a top class person.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But hopefully, the best of luck to him in Fenerbahce. I know that's one of his. He keep mentioning that it was one of his childhood clubs that he looked up to, and he's very excited about going over there. And I'm looking forward to seeing him playing for Fenerbahce. Watching him play again because obviously he did when he did play, he did bring a lot of excitement on the pitch. And we'll see what he does over there. And we know Fenerbahce right now needs all the help that they can get.
They sure can.
So going from London to Turkey, another player that's currently in London in the north side as well, Deli Ali, rumored to be going back with his ex head coach Marcelo Pochettino and PSG. What are your thoughts on that, man? Do you think it's a good fit for both of them?
I think it is. I'm like Mourinho isn't playing him.
No.
I don't even think he even calls him up to the bench. So he's not even dressing up. I'm like he's a star. He's a great player, even though he plays for the rivals. England international. I'm like when you have a player of that talent and it's not playing, I'm like all you do is it's hurting him. So I'm pretty sure he wants out. And why not go to a one of your old coaches where you already know the system and you're gonna help bring that system into fluent with the new team.
No, for sure, man. I think Deli Ali during the time when he was under Poch, that was his greatest time, and obviously he was an up and comer. There was a lot of hype around him, obviously around the 2018 World Cup. Him and Harry Kane, whether those two were going to lead England to glory, and obviously those two playing in Tottenham together. I think did a lot of good things for England during that time period. It's just so crazy how a player can fall so rapidly. And I'm not just talking about him. You see somebody like Jesse Lingard and Manchester United. The change of coach can change a player for the better or for the worse a lot. And for him, unfortunately, under Mourinho, he's seen no time on the pitch. He's a forgotten man. Especially with the tandem that Tottenham has up there with Kane and Son. He's the forgotten one, man. He's just, there's no place for him right now.
Yeah, it's pretty much you're looking at it's Mourinho's style. I'm like he's always going to be more of a counterattack person.
Mm-hmm.
He does he's going to defend, and with a person with Dele Alli, he is a box to box player, but he'd rather probably have a defensive midfield because once he scores that one goal, he's gonna like I said earlier, man, he's gonna go park two greyhounds on his goal
Mm-hmm.
post and just play like that. Be 85 minutes, he'll play like that.
Fidel brings up a great point that they say won't that be much of a compromise for Putch to play him? I mean, obviously, kind of like pressing his hand, or because if he brings him over, then obviously he has to play him. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, obviously he's going to bring him because he knows the system that he's trying to implement in Paris. And obviously, if it all goes well, then he will be playing. But if he doesn't, and somebody else over there still plays better ahead of him, I don't think it's gonna force Poch's hand to play him because he brought him over there. I mean, it's like any kind of.
Yeah, it's not like he's gonna pay $100 million for him either.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what type of deal they can work out or hatch out, whether it be like a loan with an option to buy or just a simple loan, or if it is a permanent deal,
Yeah,
you know, um, I don't think he would be forced to. I mean, I think Poch, what he's just trying to do is trying to get people in his system that understand his system. That's why you see a lot of his ex players being mentioned. Like Christian Eriksen has been rumored to go over there. Obviously, Dele Alli, and then obviously, even Harry Kane's names popped up from time to time in the rumor mill. But I think he just wants players that know his system, know how to work it, and and can get on the pitch quickly and implement it. And Dele Alli's not a bad place to start, man. Because I mean, like I said, PSG, they're gonna be rotating players, switching players this summer, this winter and summer transfer windows. Like if I was on FIFA 21 doing that, they're gonna go in FIFA mode. They're gonna let go of a few number of players, a handful
Like
of players that they don't
they're
need.
saying that they're already talking that Mbappe might leave this summer. So I'm like, if he leaves this summer, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes after Kane because he's gonna have the money for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like if the big domino falls, which is Mbappe leaving this summer, that right there is going to be at least a quarter billion in your bank account.
Hmm.
A quarter billion bank in your bank account is going to get you whoever you want. You know, that especially in this economy and during this pandemic time. If either Real Madrid or Liverpool, which are the two main clubs that I hear are linked to Mbappe, pay that, dude, you can go get anywhere. You can go get Harry Kane. You can go get well, obviously they want to go get Messi. You can go get anybody. So I mean, I see no problem for them. They'll have the funds available to go get whatever they want, to go get whoever they want at any position. So I mean, it's gonna be FIFA. It's gonna be FIFA 21
Yeah.
in real life for PSG in the summer transfer window if Mbappe does get sold this season. But who knows? I mean, like I said, I know there's a lot of rumors of him possibly being out, but I mean, but he's still under contract, and maybe he wants to play with if Messi does go to Paris, maybe he wants to hop on that ride and see how that goes with him and Neymar. Because obviously one of the biggest trophies still missing in his trophies case is the Champions League trophy, and what better chance to win it with another player alongside of him like Messi and Neymar. So,
Yeah.
I don't doubt that he maybe wants to go, but I also don't doubt that he wants to stay. He is a French player, and it would just bring his name up even more bigger than what it is if he can win the Champions League with a French team. But
Yeah.
sometimes we think the French teams are just kind of like you hear the big five in Europe, and we talk about England, Spain, Italy, Germany, and Portugal. And France isn't one of the big five. They're maybe sixth, seventh in Europe, depending. But that's we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm interested to see what happens. PSG is obviously going to be one of the real active clubs this winter transfer window and in the summer, obviously. But one more before we go, man. I've Mari, I can't say his last name. Help me out here, Aurelio. Going to Milan.
Is it Mario Manducic?
Yeah, Mario Mandzukic. I'm sorry, I just brain farted. Um, he's going to Milan on a 6 month deal, kind of similar to what Zlatan Ibrahimovic signed last season before he signed his contract, his 1 year
Yeah.
extension. A 6 month deal, just basically, to carry on for the rest of the season. Milan are in great position right now to win the Serie A title for the first time and
Like
Lord
10,
and
12,
yeah, 10,
15
12 years.
years.
Lord knows how long.
I
I
know
know.
I think Juventus won it like 10 years in a row already.
I think it's seven, and then there was Inter, and then somebody else won it prior to that, and then Milan. But yeah, man, but it feels like forever. But they're in great position right now to win it. They're just trying to strengthen their squad because obviously the big man up there, the number 9. Well, he wears number 11, but he's number 9 in our hearts. Zlatan Ibrahimovic about to hit the big 4-0. And obviously, when you get to that age, you got to worry about a little bit about injuries. And this is kind of just a reinforcement. Obviously, we know that Rafael Leao, the young Portuguese center forward over there, is doing a great job backing them up. Obviously, during the time that Ibrahimovic was missing a couple of games here and there, he was scoring goals too. But you can never have enough reinforcements. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea. It's good for the team. It's good for Slatan. I'm like, even though I'm pretty sure he's not going to want to come out, but and he's at that age where he needs an extra day of rest. He needs an extra day or two to recoup from an injury. So it's something good to have to to give Zlatan some breaks here and there. Um, I'm like, I don't see a problem. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
This it's something that you have in your back pocket that you can always bring out. I'm like, it's a person that's not it's a person that is knows the Italian league, so it's not nothing new for him. So he knows what to expect and what could come.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, I mean, he played with the Juve. He played with Juventus. He played with Roma, so he knows the Italian league real well. And obviously, this is I don't know. I don't know how much longer he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna make it to 40 like Zlatan. But you know, if this is one of his last rides, why not go out trying to win the Serie A with Milan? It's a good bet for both sides. I think it's a great get. Somebody with experience, somebody who's not afraid to show up in big games, and obviously we know that cup games are about to come up here pretty soon for in the Italian league. So a lot more games, playing back to back. So you got to give Zlatan a little bit of a rest, even though he still thinks he's a young man. But the body sometimes breaks down a little quicker than what you're used to. Obviously I know So, but speaking of Zlatan, obviously that man right there, in my opinion, from maybe 2008 to 2018, a good decade. I want to say he was the third best player during that time period, behind obviously Messi and Ronaldo. Um, he just scored 2 goals in his last game. Obviously, nothing new to him. A brace, nothing common. But the big thing about these 2 goals is that he's scored in 23 consecutive years and in 4 different decades, which is something when you say 4 different decades, you're like, man, that's a long period of time. Obviously, we know he started off at Malmo, playing in I think his first professional year was in 1999. He scored then. Obviously, he scored in the 2000s, the 2010s, and like I said, I just mentioned this last game in the 2020s. He scored 2 goals to be a goal scorer for the last 4 decades. Man, I feel old. What are your thoughts on Zlatan, man? Just overall, man. The
Man,
player.
it's a player that's always taking care of himself. That takes pride in his body, takes pride in what he can do. I'm like, he talks a lot, but he backs it up.
Mhm. Zlatan is that. Zlatan, you love him when you have him, and you hate him when you don't. He's that one that for some reason, man. I don't really do too well with people who just talk so much crap. But with Zlatan, the thing about him that you have to respect, and that I respect the most, is he'll talk crap with the best of them. He'll trash talk you to death, whatever, but he backs it up. He always backs it up, and that's just a great quality that not many have. There's players that don't talk any trash talk, and they show it on the pitch, and there's players that talk a lot of crap and don't show up. But to have a player like Zlatan who does both, that's a really rare trait to have. And obviously, we know what he did during his time with Juventus, with Inter, with Milan, with the 1 year with Barcelona. Obviously, what he did with Paris, with PSG. To be honest, Zlatan put PSG back on the map. You
Hmm.
know, he brought him back. To being one of those big clubs. Um, what he did during his time here in MLS with LA Galaxy, how he took over MLS and the United States of America. To be honest, in his 2 years, there was so much hype around MLS because of him. I think even more so than when the whole David Beckham thing happened. Obviously the David Beckham thing was a big shot in the butt for MLS and soccer in general in the United States. But then Zlatan, just to be a whole different beast and to be out there just talking his talk and backing it up, it's a whole different thing,
It's
man.
he's an entertainer. I'm
Yeah,
like, he
yeah.
likes he likes to be in the news. He likes to call attention. But like you said, I'm like, he backs it up. I'm like, anything he says, everything and anything he says is most of the time always going to be controversial. But at the end of the day, he backs it up.
We're talking about Slotson right now. Two of my fondest memories of him On one of them was a Euro qualifier versus Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal, and he went hat trick for hat trick with that guy. Portugal ended up winning 4-3, but you think about it, that's a heavyweight matchup against arguably the best player of your generation, and he said, "I don't care, whatever he can do, I can do." And the man stood tall and held his ground. And then obviously the second one that comes to mention for me was obviously his first game as a LA Galaxy player playing in Tráfico versus LAFC, where he came off the bench. I think LA Galaxy were losing 3-1 or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And he scored two magnificent goals, especially one from almost half the
Yeah, it
pitch.
was like about 3/4 of the way. Yeah,
Yeah, three-quarters of the way. And they ended up winning that first El Tráfico match for I think 4-3 or something like that. I'm not too remember. I don't remember the
I think it
scoreline.
was. I think it ended up 3-3.
Did it? Okay, but regardless of the fact, the way he landed into MLS in that first 20 minutes that he played, wow! I mean, it's just incredible. It just shows you the quality of player that he is and what he's out there to do. Like you said, he's an entertainer on the pitch. He not only plays, but he entertains.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to add on the Zlatan's, legacy or anything else,
No, I'm like his legacy speaks for itself.
No, obviously. But yeah, but before we go, obviously we can't talk about soccer without talking about the biggest league in the world, and that's obviously the Premier League. And the Premier League is not honestly a little bit of a carousel right now, man. 1 week we're talking about Tottenham being on top. Then the next week we're talking about Liverpool being on top. And then we even had a week where Manchester United ended up being on top.
Yeah.
Man, and today Leicester City's on top.
City.
So
Yes, sir.
nobody wants to win the league this year, or what's going on, or it's just that close.
It's just close. I think some of the big teams are having trouble. We all know all the injuries that Liverpool has, and they're still up there third and fourth place. They were at top of the league for a little bit as well. I think Man City, it's little by little finding their rhythm. That they were at some point where they were like 11th or 12th, and now they're at, I think, third place with 2 games in hand.
2 games in hand.
So I'm like, that just speaks little by little. I'm like, I think that little by little they're finding the rhythm. And at first, before the season started, I had Liverpool as winning it all.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, with all those injuries they've been having, it's going to be hard for them, especially when you pretty much lost your best defender for the year.
The games that Liverpool were winning the last 2 years in the Premier League, now they're draws. That's the thing. They're not losing games. They're just tying a lot. Too many draws. They're dropping too many points. And then when you have a team like Man City they're just skyrocketing up the table right now. Like you said, they're 3 points behind the league with 2 games in hand. So obviously they have the advantage here going forward.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see, a team like that when we in the beginning talked about, Man City, what's going on. Maybe Pep's magic is gone, and all this nonsense. And then to see him here third place, 2 games in hand, the best defense in the league, myself, our other co-hosts in the Spanish show have mentioned, that, Guardiola doesn't need no more attackers, this and that. He needs to focus on defense. And then when he focuses on defense, he doesn't get the right players. There's a lot. He has a leaky defense, but obviously
he's also had a lot of injuries up front too. I know Jesus was out for a while. Agüero was out for a while. So I think Agüero's back. I think Jesus. I don't know if Jesus is back yet or not, but I know he was out for a couple weeks. But little by little, he's bringing all his players back. And it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Be a fun couple months because this next month you have Champions League as well. So that's when you're gonna start seeing these teams playing two times a week, multiple weeks.
You're gonna see their bench stretched
Yeah.
out. It's interesting you say that because, with the thing with Man City and Liverpool, well, just Man City in general for the past decade, and obviously for the Pep Guardiola era, we've seen them win championships by outscoring everybody. You see score lines of 5-3, 6-2, 4-1, things of that nature. and this year, if he does end up winning it, it looks like he might be winning it based off defense, man, which is not typical
It's,
for a Guardiola team because Guardiola, he's trying to put as many goals in that net as he can.
yeah, but I'm like, I guess little by little, he pretty much probably saw Liverpool what they did last year. So
Mhm.
I'm like, they have that they had that defense where it was pretty much im- impenetrable. So he's seeing that. I'm like, I have the players to score goals, but if they're not scoring and I'm getting scored on, I'm gonna lose.
Yeah, and let's not lose focus. Obviously, I know we're talking about the top of the table here right now, but I mean, like, there's other teams in this and this whole carousel that are just unexpected. Obviously, teams like Southampton have been in the top 10 the whole time that we've been talking about. And
West Ham,
another team that's crept up is Dave Moyes at West Ham.
yeah,
Obviously West Ham is kind of like a forgotten club because they're usually like the fourth club in London, or maybe even the fifth, depending on how Fulham is doing. Obviously being behind Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham, and Fulham, like I mentioned earlier. But Davy Moyes, man, he's out there doing a hell of a job with West Ham, and
but he has
obviously,
he has a pretty solid team. I know he has Girlish.
no, that's
Uh,
Aston Villa. You
oh,
talk
Villa, I'm
West,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, well, the thing about Davy Moyes' team is it's real defensive. I do agree that they have a great pair of defensive midfielders and Declan Rice and
Okay,
Thomas
yes.
Sokak, two great defensive midfielders. I mean, and when you have two players like that who can hold the front down before you even get to your defense, that's always going to help. It's always going to help with defending and scoring goals because obviously we know they're not the most attack minded team, but it's good to see David Moyes up there and doing his thing because obviously we know the fallout he had with Manchester United. And obviously other clubs that he went to. I think he even had a little bit of a stint in La Liga that didn't go so well. So, it's good to see good old David Moyes up there trying to, propel
Trying
his
to prove
team,
prove prove himself.
obviously trying to prove himself. Man, and before we finish the show, we can't talk Premier League without talking about our dearly beloved, our Arsenal. They're unbeaten in the last 6 games. We're tallying goals up. We're
Points,
scoring. We're scoring. Yesterday's game against
Newcastle,
Newcastle 3-0. We saw a
3-0.
brace from Aubameyang that obviously he needed to score some goals. Finally, he could have had a hat trick, but he missed on one of the easiest goals that I think he would have ever scored in his life.
And I
Go
think that
figure. But what your thoughts on Arsenal, man, and the turnaround?
it was coming. I'm like, normally a team like that. I'm like, yes, they had a fallout. I still think they have a couple players that are probably being a little toxic, and you could tell when certain players weren't playing, and you were bringing in the younger players like uh was it the row? I mean, was that the
Oh, Roll Smith.
Row Smith? Yeah, you brought him in. I'm like, the spark he gave in.
Hmm.
Saka started playing a little bit more. So some of these younger players came in. I'm like, you saw that spark, that fire,
Stepping up.
and it showed that certain players were playing that shouldn't have been playing.
It's one of those things when you have younger players who are hungry, but that also have quality and talent because that pushes older players who think they deserve their spot because of name. I don't want to mention no names, maybe William, you know,
William.
yeah, William. Um, you know, so, to a certain point, you got to understand that soccer is a game of competition, and you can be the biggest name in the world, but if your quality doesn't match it and you're not doing what you need to do to win, to help the team win, then you're gonna sit on the bench or not even make the match stay 18. And I'm glad to see the hunger in these young kids, like you mentioned. Emerald Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli coming back. Players of that
Having
nature.
Partey yesterday, that pass for Bamia's goal was
Oh man, what a pass!
yeah,
Man, I'm so happy to have him back. Obviously, it's go figure, man. Partey has never been an injury player,
and
but he comes to Arsenal and he gets injured.
that's what we were talking about the other show is that once you come to the Premier League, I'm like, it's the physicality, the speed. I'm like, some of these players are
and
not
and Thomas is
accustomed.
a physical guy.
Yes, he is, and he's a big guy.
He's
He's
a
not
beast.
a he's not a Aguero type player where
Yeah.
he's like skin and bones. No offense, but I'm like, yeah, he's a meaty guy, and I'm like, it just shows that the quality in the Premier League. It just shows that it's not easy. That it's going to take a little bit to get accustomed to it.
Yeah, man. And I know we harp on the defense a little bit, but to be fair and to be honest, with Arteta and what he's doing, I mean, he has the second best defense in the league behind obviously Man City with 17, allowing 13 goals. No, I'm sorry, third best. Aston Villa has 16, only 16 goals allowed, and Arsenal only allowed 19. So I mean, they're doing pretty good on the defense. Even though we've mentioned, it is a little bit of a patchwork, but Rob Holding, he's stepped his level up. Gabriel has come back from injury and from the whole little COVID issue. He's come back. Keenan Tierney, man, in my opinion, and I'm not just being biased because I'm an Arsenal fan, might be the second best left back in the whole league, maybe behind Robertson of Liverpool, in my opinion. And then obviously, Cedric had a fantastic game yesterday, man. Maybe forget all about Bellerin.
Yes, it's a player that honestly I love Bellerin, but I think he's too much of a risk having him back there. That that I think Cedric is probably more at pace to play that. Uh, Bellerin loves to go up front. I'm like that's good. I like that playing style, but sometimes he just leaves our defense a little undefended.
Yeah, no, it's good to have that difference, when it comes to your backups or or the player who plays the same position. Obviously Cedric's a little bit more attack minded, um, and that's good to see because I mean, obviously we're in desperate need of scoring goals, and frankly, I'm glad to see that Arsenal's clicking, and not only just clicking, but they're grabbing these clean sheets as well. Leno is in third place with behind Emilio Martinez and I want to say Edson from Man City, with 7 clean sheets in the season and 18 games, 19 games. I'm sorry. So it's a great thing to see. But yeah, man. But obviously that does it for us, man. We come to the end of our time, guys. Thank you for joining us. This is the 6th episode in English series. We're trying to keep up with the whole demand and for the new subscribers that are coming in. Obviously, it's a work in progress. We're going to continue to get better from here on out. All those good things. We're not professional, but we try our best. But if this is the first time on the page, please give us a subscribe, share with your friends, a like, and all the good stuff, and interact with us, man. Leave us comments. We reply to them as fast as we can, and obviously we try to make this show around you guys. Relio, anything you want to add before we go?
Henry, man, Henry Ramirez says, shout out to you, my. Thanks for watching. Thank you for the support, and hopefully I'll see you soon, brother.
For sure, man. Well, that does it for us, guys. I'll see you next Tuesday. Peace.
All right, man.